I'm live, but I'm gonna wait. It is 12:47. I'm not even sure if anyone's gonna show up, but we'll see. Meanwhile, I am setting up. This is the first time I'm going live, so I'm setting up my desktop, and hopefully, I can share this with you. And okay. Closing out extra windows. Let's make sure. Right. Don't think anyone's here yet, so if anyone's here, please say hello so I know you've gotten here. But otherwise, I've got another 10 minutes until people arrive. My broken glasses. Hi, Helen. Oh my God, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining me. I figured I'd start up a little early. I don't even know if anyone else is going to be here, but this is something new. So thanks for being here. And happy Easter. I don't know if you celebrate, but where are you, Helen, if you don't mind my asking? Actually, don't share that. The internet's weird. But I guess since you're here, I might as well just chit chat. The whole point of me doing this today, oh, hi, you're in the UK, I'm in New York. That's nice. I've been, I don't know how long you've been following my work. And for anyone else who's joining in a little early or watching this a little later, I might as well take a minute to introduce myself. So, my name is Priya Kale, and I'm your astrologer. This is Cosmic Diaries. And I started, well, I don't know how far back I should go, but professionally, I started practicing astrology in 2006, which is about 18, 19 years ago. And since then, a lot has changed. The world has changed. When I started doing astrology at the time, there were hardly any astrology websites. The internet was a whole different place, right? And there was no social media, and it was just a very different landscape. And now we're post COVID, so much has changed, and we're on the threshold of a whole new era now with the planets moving. So I've been thinking of how I can, improve this service and not just have another astrology channel out there, which there's a million of, So, Inner Journey Collective is what I'm going to be calling these monthly sessions. And this is part of the effort of trying to going deeper with the astrology and really understanding the power it has to really be a transformative tool and not just something surface that we look at in terms of, oh, it's Taurus season. So I'm not sure I'm going to be able to even, if you know anything about astrology, Uranus is conjunct my sun right now. So what I'm trying to do here, I feel, is something so out of my comfort zone in a way. But I'm going to push my own boundaries and try to see if it translates, you know. And I'm babbling right now, but we've still got another 8 minutes here. So, coming back to just my journey, my grandfather was an astrologer, an Indian Vedic astrologer. So, I never met him, but I guess, it's in the blood. So, I've been studying astrology all my life. And in 2006, I started practicing professionally. So, at the time, the nodes were in Virgo and Pisces as well. So, for anyone watching, it would be helpful to look back at your life and what was going on in around 2006, 2000 to 2008, or actually 2008 to 2010 were the nodes in Virgo and Pisces. Yeah, I think 2008 to 10. But 2008 is when I put Cosmic Diaries up. But we're coming full circle from that time now. And, I've been coming full circle with my work, and this is an effort to kind of share how I use astrology in my life. And the whole goal when I studied astrology was not, I never thought I'd be an astrologer. It was never, conscious plan. But then my Saturn return came around, and it was like life pushed me off the deep end. And I was practicing astrology, and I wouldn't have it any other way. But it's also now that I come full, the nodes are coming full circle. I'm coming full circle with my work. And I'm really questioning how we can go deeper with this. So, anyway, thanks, Helen. You're the only one listening at the moment, but thank you for being here and listening. And I'm just going to give it another 5 minutes, and then we can start. But today, I want to talk about Taurus season. And the reason it's so important also is because this is the last Taurus season we're going to have, with Uranus still in the sign. Uranus entered Taurus in 2018. And so it would help to look back at what was going on in 2018. But since 2018, this area of our life, wherever we've got Taurus in our chart, our boundaries are being pushed, and we're being asked to, let go of superficial attachments. Taurus itself rules physical energy, and I don't want to get too deep into that before 1 o'clock, because I just want to give people the time to come in. But this is the last Taurus season we're going to have, with Uranus still in the sign. Uranus is going to enter Gemini in June, and we're entering a whole new era. Neptune is already in Aries. Saturn's about to enter Aries and will be conjunct Neptune, and that's a once in a 40-year conjunction. So that's in astrology, anything that's rare, any astrological event that doesn't happen often, has a greater impact. And so we're stepping over a very powerful threshold into a whole new world, and collectively as well as personally. And it's going to be really important to use this Taurus season now to get super grounded in what's important, and really declutter our lives of what's unstable and on shaky ground, so that we can, get our roots in deep. And so, okay, how much time do we have? We've got another 4 or 5 minutes. So, moving forward, I'm planning to have a subscription service where we do a monthly meetup once a month, where we get into, this is an introduction to that. And obviously that will be more intimate because it'll be a private link. But we'll get into the astrology of the whole season and the daily aspects, which I'm going to do today as well. I'll do an overview of the new moon and the full moon. And then the main goal really is to let you have access to me as much as you have access to the astrology. So at the end, we'll have a question and answer session, and, feel free to bring your charts in. And of course, it's, I'm limited in what I can tell you, excuse me, without having a full astrology consultation. But I will definitely make the attempt to answer at least one question from everyone who's attending moving forward and take a look at your chart and guide you. And I'm hoping that over time, we can build more of a connection and relationship where, the more I get to know you and your chart, the more familiar it is to me. And then the easier it is for me to share insights. So this is an experimental subscription service in the sense of the structure, but I have a lot more than just astrology to share in the sense of, astrology is not just, again, it's not a conceptual thing. It's astrology is, it's a living tool, and life really is our greatest teacher of astrology. So another hope is that through these monthly sessions, we can start to witness life with greater awareness. And in that, we can see our power to shape life more consciously. So, got another 2 minutes left. And in that, I guess maybe I'll share a little bit more. So, since 2006, of course, I've been doing astrology, I've been writing for websites, I've been working with clients, I've spoken at conferences. But in 2018, actually, no, back in 2010-11, when Uranus entered Aries, and then 2014. I mean, I've been on my own journey as well. And really in 2008, I would say, late 2008, when Pluto entered Capricorn, I had newly started practicing astrology professionally. But I had a very powerful Kundalini awakening. It's not something that I really talk about because there's nothing to talk about. It's an experience. But what I can share from that experience is it was evidently it was undeniably clear that this is all of our destiny. I never thought that something like that could actually happen. I mean, you read about it in books, but having an experience is something else. And certainly, it's not something that I expected would happen to me because I just didn't. And I mean, I'm not a saint, but what was made again abundantly clear to me was it's all of our destiny. And this is part of what I want to talk about today in Taurus season. And it is 1 o'clock, so I'm wondering if I should start. I think there's 3 people here, or that's at least what my little notification says. So I'm wondering if I should just start with Taurus season. All right, I'm just going to begin. And because the moon goes void today at 1:21, so I want to get started before then, and then we'll see how it plays out. But welcome everyone who's here for Taurus season, and hopefully welcome to the first of many more sessions. Today this is Cosmic Diaries, this is Priya if you're just joining, and I'm your astrologer. And today we're going to talk all about Taurus season, and we're going to get into the aspects for the season, and we're going to do an overview of the new moon and the full moon, as well as I'm going to run through the 12 signs. I mean, I don't know how much time everyone has, but I'm thinking this is going to go on for at least a couple of hours. And then at the end, depending on how many people are here, and if you have questions, I'll try to get through them. So thanks for the 4 people who are here. Thank you. I'm so happy to have you here. But welcome to Taurus season. And also, before I begin, this is the first session in what's in the future. I'm hoping to be, not hoping, but I'm planning to have a subscription service called Inner Journey Collective, where we do these monthly and we get really deep into the astrology, and I look at your chart, and it's just a way of you having access to me and not just the astrology, so you can ask me questions and, actually in terms of how it relates to your life. So that's the vision, and it's a basic foundation that I hope to build on moving forward. But this is the first, and I am a Taurus, by the way, sun and moon. So I guess it's a good time to start. But all right, now officially we're starting with Taurus season. The sun has newly entered Taurus now. And actually, I'm going to share my screen. I've never done this before, but I'm going to share my screen. And that way, okay, you're going to, whoa. All right, hold on. But then this way, I don't see myself, and that's no good. Sorry, guys. Give me, I should have tested this out before. All right. Does anyone know if there's a way to do half and half? Okay, maybe I should have tested this out before, but it's fine. Can you guys see me? Just tell me if you can see me or if you can only see my screen. It says I'm sharing my entire screen. Okay. But if I do that, my worry is if you guys, okay, see you and screen. Hi, Nadine. Oh my God. Hi, Beverly. Ah, you guys are here. I'm so happy you're here. Thank you for being here. Oh, it means so much to me. Nadine's been OG, probably one of the first people who ever read my work. So, and we go back, we have some memories. So, thanks, Nadine. Hi, Beverly. I'm so happy to see you. All right. Well, I'm going to do this. I can't, this way, at least I can see the chat. 2008. Yeah, that's what I was saying, Nadine. You joined a little late, but I was just saying that I've been doing this since 2008 and the nodes are back in Virgo and Pisces now. So we're coming full circle from 2008. So anyone who's watching, look back at what was going on in your life in 2008 because we're coming full circle from that time and it's time to just reconnect with, our sense of direction. Today, Venus is conjunct the North Node in Pisces, if you can see. And Venus is the ruler of Taurus and Taurus season, which we're going to dive into. But yeah, maybe I should just start here. I was trying to set up my screen, but I'm going to wing it. Okay. We're just going to start here. And then I'll play around as it goes. You guys just have to bear with me for this first session because I have never done a YouTube live session before. So next time I'll figure out how to set up my screen better. And actually, next time I'm going to do this on Zoom. So definitely do sign up for my Substack, and I'll leave links below later as well. Okay, so let's start. This is kind of, I hope it's not too distracting, but I'm going to start. Yesterday, the sun entered Taurus, and this Taurus is a fixed sign, and it's a fixed earth sign. Fixed signs describe the modality of the season. So we have cardinal signs, we have fixed signs, and we have mutable signs. Oh my God. Aries season is a cardinal sign, and cardinal signs initiate seasons. So Aries, Libra, Capricorn, and of course Cancer. Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn. Those are cardinal signs. And then when we come to the fixed signs, those are the middle of this. That's the middle of the season. So we've got Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius. And then each of these signs have elements, which is earth, fire, earth, air, and water. We've got 4 elements. So Taurus is a fixed earth sign. And by the very nature of both being fixed and being an earth sign, this is a very slow moving sign. It deals with all physical energy, material energy, money, our resources, valuables. It's the sign of the earth. It's the sign of nature. Think of nature. It's always growing and it's alive. But that process of growth is so slow and you can't really rush a natural process. So it's important when we're working, first of all, when we're moving through Taurus season, the whole point with inner journey is look at where the sun is transiting. And the sun, I mean, astrology really is like a clock. And every year, as the sun transits around the zodiac, wherever the sun is transiting in our chart or in the sky, it's illuminating. The sun is a spotlight. So it's illuminating one section of our chart and one section of the sky. Of course, there are all the other planets doing all kinds of things. But this, if we take the sun to be our primary consciousness in astrology and the primary spotlight, it's like the universe is telling us that's where you need to focus for now. You know, what are the roots? If we look at an astrology chart, we have 12 houses in the chart and we have 12 signs around, you know, uh, ruling each of the houses. And then we have all of these planets, and it can all get very complicated and confusing, especially if you're not an astrologer and don't aren't used to integrating all that information at once. So this is my attempt at even simplifying astrology in a way that you can practically, use it without getting too confused. And then slowly you can start to integrate the other aspects. So one of the most basic things we can do is, aside from following the moon and the new moon and the full moon cycles, is look at where the sun is transiting. In this case, now we're talking about Taurus season. Look at where you have Taurus in your chart. And I will run through the 12 signs at the end of this. But that's where the universe is calling our focus and attention. And if we can center our energy and focus and attention there, then the rest of the things will start to harmonize and fall into balance automatically. It's Taurus itself is the sign, again, physical energy, but it speaks of this process of centering, of getting grounded, of getting rooted in something. So especially as you move through this Taurus season, and I was saying this before 1 o'clock, before this talk officially began, this Taurus season specifically is so fundamental and powerful, and it's so important because it's the last Taurus season we're going to have while the sun is transiting Taurus and Uranus is still in Taurus. Uranus is going to enter Gemini in June, and then Uranus will return to Taurus next by the end of the year for a few months, but at the time the sun won't be in Taurus. And by the time the sun comes to Taurus again next year, Uranus will be back in Gemini. So this is a very important Taurus season and very transformational Taurus season, where things that have been stuck and things that have already been on shaky ground and that are already have been kind of loose and crumbling are now being swept away. And it's a chance for us to consciously sweep the past behind. I mean, Venus now, the ruler of this Taurus energy, and please feel free to, I mean, I did say question and answer at the end, but if there's something that I'm saying that's not clear and you have a question, feel free to drop it in. I don't mind like pausing and answering it. Coming back here, I'm going to get into the daily aspects, but this month, this sun in Taurus is going to conjunct Uranus and then, enter Gemini. So as you move through this month, certainly on one level, where as much as we're getting grounded in what's real and valuable and important to us, it's important that we're remaining detached and we're able to let go of the things that are falling away from us and be willing to move through this over this threshold with awareness. Our choices right now are very much creating our reality. Jupiter is in Gemini and Uranus is about to enter Gemini. I know I'm jumping ahead, but this is a live session, so I'm just going to flow with it. I guess what I'm trying to say is nothing happens in a vacuum. And what the seeds we're planting now and what we're nurturing now is going to really take off. So it's important that we're being really conscious and aware of the choices we're making now. Venus, the ruler of Taurus, is currently closely conjunct the North Node and about to conjunct Saturn on the 24th. Saturn rules karma and the North Node rules our destiny. So the relationships in your life right now Taurus also rules our relationships, our closest commitments and bonds, as well as our investments of time, money, love, energy. It's where we invest our energy. Taurus will tell you, think of nature. We can't really, again, force a natural process, but we can create the right conditions and environment and nurture a plant or nurture something that's precious and growing. But in the same vein, what you feed will grow. So where are we paying attention? Are we paying attention in, feeding our energy into something that's already dead and gone? Or are we nurturing what's now slowly coming to life? It's going to be important for us because Venus, being the ruler of Taurus at the Saturn, this whole season is seeded by this energy, which means this whole Taurus season is this dual process of us leaving behind the past and stepping over a threshold into a new world. Over the past 40, I mean, Venus is now direct. Venus was retrograde recently. And we've been through a process of deep purification of the heart and our values. And Venus on the 24th will conjunct Saturn. I'm going to get into that further as well, the dates. But as this is the third conjunction that Venus will make to Saturn, the first conjunction was on the 15th of January. And then the second one was on the 29th of March, I believe. Hold on, let me check. Yeah, I think it was the 29th of March or 20. Sorry, I have too many dates in my head. That can't be right. Oh, April 7th. I'm sorry. I don't know. Oh, that was the Venus Neptune conjunction. My mistake. April 7th. And then before that, January 18th, Venus was conjunct Saturn. So look back to what was happening around the 18th of January and then the 7th of April, especially in your relationships, financial matters. You know, we were clarifying our bottom line in situations. And now we're at this final phase of, really clarifying our bottom line and moving ahead and leaving the past behind, leaving definitely any toxic cycles or unhealthy cycles and patterns behind now. So we're not carrying them forward into our future because there's no room for it. And there's a need for maturity. So what's happening right now is definitely a growing moment, and it's a humbling moment as well. We're all being humbled in some ways, but Saturn will ask for that level of humility. And if you are humble, then you can be elevated. But if we, okay, I'm going to get to Mars in a second. I just heard Mars. And if we act too much out of ego now, then there will be a swift humbling. Now, let me talk about Mars. Mars is now back in Leo, and Leo is ruled by the sun. So there is, Mars is energizing the sun in Taurus, although the sun is ruled by Venus. So there's definitely Venus and Mars are quite powerfully in play right now. And Mars is moving to an opposition with Pluto here. I'll get into that as well in a minute. So Mars is very much energizing this Sun in Taurus right now, in the Sun in Taurus transit. Mars is going to be in Leo until the 17th of June. And Leo is also a fixed sign. So, first of all, Mars entered shadow phase on the 4th of October in 2024. And at the time, Mars was in Cancer. Mars entered Leo on the 3rd of November and then went retrograde on the 6th of December. And then was retrograde in Leo until the 3rd of January. So especially look at the phase between the 3rd of December, sorry, the 6th of December and the 3rd of January, while Mars was retrograde in Leo. Things that started to unfold in November seemed to go, or there was a need to put things on the back burner a little bit, or maybe projects that fell apart or something that didn't work out that time. Now Mars is back in Leo, and this whole process of since October really last year has been a process of us realigning with ourselves and our desires and who we are today, because so much is changing around us. With Mars now back in Leo, we're definitely feeling a renewed sense of confidence and passion and sense of purpose to move ahead. Oh, Mars and Leo on your birthday. Happy birthday, Nadine. We need to talk soon. I miss you. I was thinking of you. But so we're definitely feeling more confident and energized and, having a sense of purpose moving ahead. But it's also important for us to remember the lessons that we've learned and not let our ego get ahead of us. Taurus, the sun in Taurus, is a sign of humility. So it's important that we're not being too pushy with things and having more trust in ourselves. Tonight, the sun will square Mars. So we're reaching an important turning point in learning to trust ourselves and understand who we are at our core. And which means understanding both our strengths and our weaknesses. So there's very much this need for self awareness as we move ahead, and an awareness of how we impact others in our life. It's not enough to just know ourselves, right? It's how we're also engaging with the world around us. So, with this Venus conjunct Saturn and what's going on in the sky right now, there's very much this need for that centering. So, again, look to where you have Taurus in your chart, and I'll get into the signs later. But over the course of this month, let that be your focus. And with Taurus energy, things move slowly, but at the same time, it's change is happening undeniably. It's just a matter of us being patient. That's another thing that Taurus teaches us is patience and trust in the natural process. So I'm wondering if I should just dive into the aspects of the month, because I think that's where everything's happening, and then I can talk about it more. Okay. Is this all making sense? Please feel free to ask me questions if you guys have any. Okay. So I'm going to keep it like this for now. All right. So here we are. We're on the 20th of April today. And these are all the aspects that are taking place this month. I'm not looking at the moon's aspects. I'm just looking at major planetary aspects. I'm sure there are more minor aspects taking place. Starting with today Venus is sextile Uranus, and this is what I've been talking about since 2018. Uranus has been in Taurus. So look back to your life and see what's been going on since 2018. Life has been pushing our boundaries and drawing us out of our comfort zone. And where Taurus, normally the changes happen slowly and steadily, with Uranus and Taurus, there have been sudden changes and sudden growth spurts and sudden breakthroughs, even. Uranus energy can be very electric, and Taurus is an earth sign, so this can be very groundbreaking energy. So wherever you have Taurus in your chart, there have been groundbreaking developments as well. And this last Taurus season now is, and Uranus is a futuristic planet, so it's drawing us into the future. But Taurus doesn't like change, so there's an element of us having to accept reality as it stands and to trust this new territory that we're being drawn into while remaining grounded in ourselves. So, and by now, I mean, even if in 2018 things felt uncomfortable and these growth spurts felt uncomfortable, hopefully by now you're used to it and you see where this has all been leading. And as much as you're entering new territory in this one area of your life, there's a need for confidence that and trust in yourself that you can meet what's around that corner, and you won't know what's around the corner until you turn that corner. So it's embodying all the lessons you've learned. I mean, your whole life has led up to this moment, and especially the past 6 7 months have been that journey of realignment with ourselves. Now it's really embodying the energy. So today, with Venus sextile Uranus, there may be surprising developments taking place. We are reaching a sense of a breakthrough that is pushing our brown boundaries and drawing us into new territory. I mean, for example, here I am doing this live session. I don't think I've done a live session before, and it's definitely out of my comfort zone, but fingers crossed, and I'm hoping for the best, right? That's kind of the energy that we're all experiencing right now. And with Uranus, there's a need for being willing to experiment as well, to stretch our boundaries a little bit. Of course, Venus is in Pisces, approaching Saturn. So we're not fully over a threshold yet. And there is something that's, we're still in the process of learning some lessons right now. But we are being stretched, and hopefully, this is just the beginning. I can say that for myself as well. But look at what's going on in your life. Also, today, Mercury is sextile Pluto, and this is an aspect that took place earlier as well. And I can look back to see what was going on. See, in astrology, nothing happens in a vacuum. So, another helpful practice might, I say this to all my clients because every time I have a consultation, I'm always asking, oh, what happened on this date? What happened on that date? And I drive people crazy. But it's important because, yeah, 20, March 25th, Mercury was sextile Pluto. And then before that, on the 5th of March. So look back to these two dates, 5th of March and the 25th of March. You may have been having important conversations. There may have been important communication coming through, maybe intuitive insights, or we were understanding the deeper layers of something. And there was a need to let go of our perceptions. Then, Mercury is in Aries, and Aries is the sign that, I mean, we just came out of Aries season, and Neptune is now in Aries, which is going to have to be a whole other video. But Aries is a sign of the newborn, of the child, of the infant. It's a very, think of the child. The child comes in, a newborn has no preconceived notions of this world. Children have no preconceived notions of this world. And that's why they say out of the mouths of babes, they see the world for what it is. So Mercury in Aries can be that kind of energy, which, can just see the world for what it is. But then as we get older, we get conditioned by this world and our belief systems and our, depending on where we live and how we grow up and the parents we grew up with. So with Mercury now in Aries and sextile Pluto today, we're being asked to let go of our perceptions if we really want to see the world as it is. Because we see the world as we are, not as it is. And that's where we trip up. And Aries can also bring up, this is a chance to let go of painful perceptions, painful memories, anything that's causing you, it's the Mercury rules the mind, and the mind is by its nature always generally in the past or the future. It's rarely ever in the present. And if we think about it, all that exists is the present moment. Mercury is in Aries, and the ruler of Aries, Mars, is in Leo. And then ruler of Leo, Sun is in Taurus. So if you find yourself, replaying painful memories, this is really a chance to let them go. And then the Sun in Taurus is showing us how we can do that. And that's by bringing ourselves back to the present reality. Another thing with Taurus, maybe I should have said this at the beginning, but we're just going with the flow here. Taurus is a sign that rules physical energy, but also our senses. It's a very sensual sign. So, all our sight, our smell, our sound, the way our hearing, touch. And these are some of the ways that we can ground ourselves and bring ourselves into the present and get out of our heads and into our bodies. And let Taurus season be a practice of doing that daily, of being in touch with reality. That's not to say, I mean, Venus now is in Pisces and conjunct Saturn. We are material in the process of materializing our dreams. So this is where our dreams are moving over a threshold and becoming real. But then that's, and in one sense, hopefully, if you look around you, if you really look at your life, you are living the dream right now. Whatever you've dreamed of for yourself, you are living it. And if something is feeling more like a nightmare than a dream, then it's time to wake up, because we have more power to create our reality than we think. And that's very much this Mercury sextile Pluto aspect today. And then today, the Sun squares Mars. So today is a really powerful day in terms of planetary aspects. We're moving a lot of stock energy. We're really reclaiming our sense of self confidence, hopefully, really getting centered and reaching a turning point within ourselves. So, yeah, we have more power than we think to create our reality. It's a matter of just doing it consciously and recognizing how powerful our choices are. So if I'm making choices in fear, then it's likely going to lead me down, I don't want to say the wrong path, but maybe because maybe I'm supposed to learn those lessons, and maybe that's the only way I'll learn those lessons. But it's not necessary for us to learn lessons in pain. We can learn them in love, and we can learn them gently and sweetly, because we're certainly learning life lessons right now. And the listen to your inner dialogue. Are you self-critical? How it's important that we're being brutally honest with ourselves and in no denial about what needs to change, because there are very powerful changes afoot right now. But you can pay attention to your inner voice in terms of, are you encouraging to yourself, or are you reprimanding yourself all the time? It's how we speak to our inner child as well. Plants grow better when you talk to them, when you speak to them with love. And that's a proven scientific fact, right? We are, our bodies are made up of 80%, 90% water. And I mean, there's been studies done on even how water molecules change when we speak intentions into them. So that inner voice is a very powerful thing. And if we're constantly criticizing ourselves, and if we don't believe in ourselves, then we're not nourishing ourselves, you know? So there's that balance needed of knowing where our limits lie, so then we can move beyond them. It's like Saturn will bring us those tests with Venus conjunct Saturn right now, this Taurus season. We're graduating to a new level of experience. And this is not just some experience in our heads, but the Sun in Taurus, it's like the physical life around us is changing. Our relationships are changing. You know, the it's great, certainly a great time to be decluttering, on a physical level as well. But depending on where this energy is playing out in your life, the physical landscape of our life is changing now. So it's not something just that's imagined, which means we're going to have to learn, and life is leveling up, is the best way I can say it without being very specific in terms of what's going on in your chart. We're leveling up. So there's that need of just having more faith in ourselves as we move ahead. Tonight also brings us to the last quarter moon phase. And the last quarter moon phase, which means we're halfway between the full moon in Libra, which took place on, oh gosh, when was that? When was the Libra full moon? Somebody tell me, my mind is blank. A week ago was the Libra full moon on the 12th. And that Libra full moon was closed out the eclipse Aries solar eclipse cycle, which was the last solar eclipse in the Aries Libra eclipses. And that closed out a whole transformation that's been going on since April 2023. So we're halfway between the Libra full moon and the Taurus new moon, which is coming up on the 27th of April. Yes. And I'm going to go through these aspects. Please bear with me, bear with my flow. Now that we're at this last quarter phase, the first quarter and the last quarter phase are the halfway point between the new and the full moon. Now that we're in the waning cycle in the last quarter phase, over the coming week, on a broader scale over the coming week, as we move to the new moon, where the moon is waning, so it's a time of release. Definitely declutter your space, physical things, but even emotionally, let go of any emotional baggage that's been weighing you down or that belongs to the past. Or we're ending old cycles. There's a lot of aspects taking place over the coming week, which is really clearing out a lot of emotional energy, as well as our relationships are evolving. We are evolving. Life is moving us over a threshold. So just look at what you want to take with you in this new chapter, because this is not a small chapter, and the choices that we're making now will have ripple effects for the rest of our lives, and in ways that we can't even see. They're going to ripple out these. I mean, this is Venus Saturn conjunction in Pisces coming up. These are going to be ripple effects that are going to last into eternity, really. And we're deepening bonds and commitments and relationships that will also last for eternity. Pisces is a sign of unconditional love. And Venus conjunct Saturn in Pisces, Venus being the ruler of Taurus, these are really real deep bonds that we're deepening. But at the same time, that if there are relationships that are ending, or if something appears to be ending, you needn't fear losing anything you love. If anything, we're learning that love is unconditional and transcends time and space. So it's just a matter of us letting go of our old perceptions and our attachments to our relationships in the form that they're in. Love never dies, but people do die. Even the people that we love the most will one day die. So with Uranus in Taurus, during this Taurus season, and the greater lesson of Uranus in Taurus really has been of detachment, of learning to be detached from our physical reality, not because it's not real, but to understand that it changes and it's transient. So if ultimately, even astrology, coming back to not just reading out these aspects, the whole point of me doing inner journey, it's like this world, this material world is constantly changing. Nothing stays the same. And if we look at the opposite axis of Taurus, which is Scorpio, Scorpio deals with change and reminds us, the Taurus Scorpio axis reminds us, change is the only constant. And ultimately, this whole process, I mean, all that is born will die. So then what are we doing with our life here? And ultimately, we're here for such a short time. So yes, we cherish life and all the material pleasures of life. But that happiness that we seek will never come from material things. It will only come from within. So ultimately, we're spiritual beings on a human journey, and those are not just words, right? We're here really for only one, really, our ultimate destiny for everybody is self realization. And no matter how many times we want to come back and be reborn and recycle through this material plane, that's really up to us. But if we want liberation, then beyond anything else that we're doing in our life right now, and even looking at the astrology, and certainly what I've learned over the past 18 years is the astrology can take us so far, but ultimately it comes down to meditation or finding that sense of center and single pointed focus within ourselves. So our spiritual practice with this Venus conjunct Saturn, cultivating a spiritual practice will be really powerful and helpful through this season and for a lifetime. So if Nothing else. If you can even do that for this Venus Saturn conjunction, whatever that means for you, whether it's prayer, whether it's chanting mantras, whether it's, meditation, yoga, or even any activity that really gets you into the flow where you're in a state of no mind, it's important that we cultivate that practice on a daily basis, because that's really the only thing that's going to anchor us here. With this triple conjunction on the North Node, we are in the process of materializing our dreams. So, coming back to, if something's feeling like a nightmare now, it's really a chance to wake up and reshape your reality with greater awareness. It's like we're lucid dreaming. So, for that, first there's a need to clarify a vision. Then you can start to bring it to life. Then you can start to slowly make the choices that will slowly materialize it. Also, another thing is, with this North Node right now in Pisces, this also needs to be a whole other video, but it's important that we're conscious of what we're consuming. The North Node, mythologically, one of the stories is that it's the dragon's head without a body. So wherever the North Node is transiting, yes, we're being drawn to our destiny, but it's also, according to Vedic philosophy and understanding, Jyotish, it the North Node is the cause of our rebirth, because it's our desires that keep us coming back to this material plane. And there's nothing wrong with desire itself, but it's the attachment to the fulfillment of our desires that really causes us pain. So it's important that we're aware of what we're consuming in terms of, with Pisces being very illusory energy, it can be very nebulous. So even as simply as, social media or TV and the news and the world around us, we're going to be responsible for what we're taking in and allowing to seep into our consciousness, which is then affecting our choices. So this is something that we're going to just have to guard for ourselves here. So we're not being led by false illusions and then feeling disappointed when things don't pan out. Although right now we're all moving through such a filtering process that everyone's getting a reality check. So I doubt there's too much room for anything else here. But it's just that this can feel like a gentle, effortless blossoming. Nothing needs to feel like a struggle right now, although the intensity dial is turned up super high. Okay. Anyway, so coming back here, today at this last quarter moon, we are at a turning point between the Libra full moon. I wound back up to where I was earlier, and the Taurus new moon on the 27th. So this is a halfway checkpoint. You know, realign with yourself and remain detached from outcomes, really. And just look at, over the coming week, look at what you're letting go of before there can be renewal with the new moon on the 27th. On the 23rd, we have Sun square Pluto. So this is going to feel like a powerful turning point. Once again, it's about detachment from the things that we can't control and reclaiming our power in situations and recognizing that we can't really please everybody all the time. We're letting go of, we're coming off that Libra full moon cycle. We're letting go of people pleasing. And it's time to really get real and authentic and be true to yourself, because otherwise you're not going to be able to sustain relationships, even, or any situation that's going on in your life, unless you're being absolutely real with yourself about what you value and where you stand. Then you can automatically attract and gravitate towards the right connections and the right resources and the right people who can who share your vision. Because on the 24th, so there's a powerful turning point coming up on the 23rd, and this, how this is playing out in your life is part of a longer story, which I would need to see your chart for to put it into context. But this is the story of Pluto in Aquarius. We're all, this is still new energy for us. Pluto has been transitioning into Aquarius since last year, and now is fully settled into Aquarius. And with the sun connecting Pluto, and Pluto is about to go retrograde. So we're very much in a process of really understanding our power now, and our very unique sense of purpose, I would say, in this world. I would also ask you to look at, the COVID years, and see how that has impacted you, because it's impacted everybody, and look at how that might have changed you in ways, and what part of that you're kind of reclaiming power from, and what you're letting go of. It's just something to look at. 24th, Venus conjunct Saturn, and this is part of everything that I've been talking about right now. We're really, clarifying our bottom line in situations, and in relationships, financial situations, and really take time to clarify your vision and your goals. You don't have to worry about how this is all going to come about. This really can be like a magic wand. There's Pisces is a sign of magic. And the thing with manifestation, and if anything, everything that I've been learning, wait, this is April 12th. Sorry, this is today. Thing with manifestation is we don't have to worry about how it comes about. We just have to be clear on what we want. But half the time we're not clear on what we want, or we second guess ourselves, or we, doubt our own potential. And now, Venus conjunct Saturn, it's like doors are opening and closing, and we are moving to a whole new level. So things that weren't possible, now are slowly, doors are opening now. But it's also important that we know our limits. Then it won't feel like walking into a wall. If, how do I say it? It's like, if you're not even aware of your limits, yeah, then you'll just walk into the door, right? But if you've got your eyes open and you know that there's a wall or some kind of structure there, then you'll open the door, or you'll try to climb the wall, or you'll go around it, and you won't just bang your head into it, if that makes any sense. So I'm obviously speaking metaphorically, but look at what's going on in your life, and something that you've felt, you've been coming up against a wall. Now there is a way forward. It's just a matter of integrating everything that you've learned over these past few months, even since the beginning of the year. So the 20, and definitely relationships are deepening at this point. So move slowly and carefully. It's a humbling moment, it's a sobering moment, but there's real depth here, and there's real love here, and we're learning which bonds are truly unbreakable. So be grateful for everything that you're learning at this point. And the moon is waning. So we're definitely also releasing old cycles, because on the 26th, Mars opposes Pluto, and this is a very powerful transformation. And this is Mars's third opposition to Pluto. The first took place in at the end of September last year, and that was in Cancer and Capricorn. Out of curiosity, can you guys see my face? If anyone's even here still listening. I don't know. Okay. Oh, you can. Okay. Thanks, Ellen. Hi. Thanks for still being here. Okay. So Mars lost. I can't see my face, so I couldn't tell if you could, and it's fine. But I hope I look okay. Okay. So Mars first opposed Pluto on the 3rd of November. Oh, hi, Brianne. So nice to see you. Oh, I'm so glad people made it. I really wasn't sure if anyone was going to be here. Am I being clear? Am I making sense? Do you guys have any questions so far? Is this working for you? Okay. So look back to what was happening on the 3rd of November in your life. Take time to reflect on that. That was the first Mars Pluto opposition. And that At the time, Mars was in Cancer and Pluto was at the end of Capricorn. But that began a transformation. The next Mars Pluto opposition took place on the 3rd of January. So look back to what was unfolding, at the beginning of the year as well, because now Mars is direct and about to oppose Pluto again on the 26th. And this is the final transformation in this series of transformations. Oh, hi, Brian. Sorry, I did a lot of panic. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that, Brian. Yeah, the planets have been super intense. I mean, I'll pause here and I'm actually on that note. With this Mars Pluto opposition, this is very much this, thing of us taking back our power and, being gentler with ourselves. All the personal planets have been retrograde for the past, I mean, not all of them at the same time, but yeah, Mars has been retrograde, Venus, Mercury, and we've been really going through it on an internal level. Now, slowly, the planets are moving forward again, and it really is a chance for us to be gentler and empower ourselves with this energy. So on the 26th, with Mars opposite Pluto, and I have Mars opposite Pluto in my chart. So it's an energy I've lived with my whole life. This can bring up power struggles, but it's also understanding and how to use that energy with awareness. Because if you're caught in a power struggle, then the best thing you can do is let go. And with Mars and Leo, Leo is a sign of the ego, but it's also the sign of the heart. So understanding the deeper lesson of what's happening here, which is, and Pluto is about power. So this really is telling us, it's, oh my God, so much. I'm sorry, I'm just having a lot of downloads. Give me a minute, guys. I know what I'm talking about. I just have too much information coming into my brain all at once. Okay. Mars opposite Pluto. This has happened 2 times before. Now we're at this final stage of evolving from something that has felt like a power struggle for the past, how many, since November and then January and now. And Mars and Leo, it's about letting go of the need for validation from others and for your own existence. If you get caught up in a power struggle again, the best thing you can do is let it go. And that will mean, destroying your own ego. And really, what's happening is an ego death here. So, with Mars and Leo, we can be very sensitive to rejection. Leo energy, first of all, it rules the heart, but also rules the ego. So, it's like when we get rejected, yeah, the heart feels vulnerable and the ego jumps up to protect it, right, in a way. And so that ego can become a front. And really, the more the universe is trying to destroy our ego, always, because that's the only way we're going to be liberated. And what's needed is compassion and to lead with the heart. So that's how you can disarm any situation that's gotten heated. So if you're dealing with any power struggle, best is we're learning how much you want to invest in a situation, how much you want to engage, and how you want to engage. And sometimes the best way to engage is to disengage. So it will require that level of awareness. But if we realize that it's, you know the greatest battle we'll ever fight is an inner battle. It's got nothing to do with anyone else. The more we can destroy our own ego, the more empowered we'll feel to create the change that we need to make without really needing other people's validation. And that's not to say that we're selfish and absolutely get egotistical about it, but rather understanding that, especially with Neptune in Aries and Mars being the ruler of Aries, all is one. So our actions have a ripple effect on the world around us. But if we're acting in true alignment with ourselves and from the heart, then we have to trust that it will work out in the best interests of everyone around. Because if we're not being true to ourselves, and if we're walking around with a false sense of self, or masks, or the masks are dropping with this Mars Pluto opposition, and we're seeing people's true colors. And I'm saying that not in terms of, oh, us judging another person or even ourselves, but it's like circumstances don't make or break us, they reveal us. And Pluto's, Mars opposite Pluto will reveal circumstances. And then, we don't really have control in life. Control is an illusion. That's another thing that the Taurus Scorpio axis will teach us. If Taurus rules the body and nature, think of the power of nature, first of all. If nature decides to wipe us out, there's nothing we can do about it, right? Think of even our own bodies. Even our basic bodily functions, we have no control over. We don't control our heartbeats, even. We just think we have some kind of control in this world, and we don't. Life is happening through us. And that really is supposed, I mean, what I'm saying here is not meant to disempower you in any way. It's meant to empower you in understanding that you are divine. I am divine. There's a divine consciousness within us, but we're not aware of it. That's the mind, that's the illusion, that's the Maya of Neptune. So the especially within our journey, the whole point is to bring back our focus to ourselves and to what's happening within, and how we are responding to the world, and what is life really trying to teach me. Because if all is one, and if everything is divine, then everything that's coming to me is the divine. But I have to be able to see life with that vision. And that's why even manifestation works, or vibrations, it's like we are attracting, like attracts like. So if you're experiencing something painful, then really this Mars opposite Pluto is such a chance to really powerfully reclaim our power, and to let go of these illusions, and let go of needing validation from the world for your own existence here. So, okay, I'm going to stop there. I'll keep going on. And I don't even know if yeah, okay. So, 26 brings a very powerful transformation, and there's a resurrection underway, and this is smoldering energy. So just move slowly, you don't need to burn any bridges. It's just a matter of disengaging from situations that are sucking your energy, and so you can actually invest your energy into what's important to you. It's about Taurus is about values at its core. So, and it's only the ego that's going to want to get into battles and power struggles. So you destroying your own ego is the lesson here. Me destroying my own ego is the lesson here, and accepting reality and life on life's terms. Then we can really start to you know get things moving and bring about transformation, because that's a very powerfully transformative aspect. So that's on the 26th, and this is a day before the new moon, which is on the 27th. And the new moon will bring new beginnings, but always the time right before the new moon is the most fertile time as well. So the fact that this aspect is taking place just before the new moon, it's a very powerfully transformative Taurus season that we're entering into. So pay attention to the seeds you're planting, what you're nurturing, your intentions, and I'll do a separate video just with the new moon and full moon energy. But basically, the new moon is a time for new beginnings, and the full moon will bring things to a peak and culmination. So now, once the new moon aligns, we're entering a whole new cycle. Look at where you have Taurus in your chart. This is a new beginning, and certainly a really powerful new beginning. So it's really important that you get grounded in what's important and stay focused on what's important. On the 30th, this is also the last couple of days of Venus moving through Pisces, 27, 28, 29th. And Venus is exalted in Pisces. Venus is the ruler of Taurus. So clarify a vision. I say this to clients in consultations all the time. It's like if you had a magic wand with no unlimited wishes, and you can have anything, like all the money in the world, all the love in the world, friendships, house, the dream house, dream job, dream whatever, all of everything, anything, at will, at demand. What would you, what would life look like? And some people have an answer for that and some don't. And I'm saying clarify that vision now, whatever that is. And yeah, it can be a changing, evolving vision as you evolve, but take time to clarify that vision, and then let go of wondering how it's going to happen. That's the universe's job. It's almost like we sit down at a restaurant and you place an order, but if you're looking at the menu and if you're not sure what you want, then the universe doesn't know what to bring you, so you've got to decide on what you want from that menu, and then once you've placed the order, then you've got to sit there and wait and trust that the chef is preparing your meal and it's going to come out right. But in the meanwhile, you can wait and trust that it's going to be out at the same time. That's kind of how manifestation works on a very basic scale, and especially with the new moon in Taurus and Venus exalted in Pisces, being the ruler of Taurus. It's a very magical lunation. It's very sensual energy. It's very creative energy. It's very romantic energy. Relationships are blossoming. Life is really blossoming. And the more we center ourselves now, then life becomes this effortless blossoming. We weren't sent here to suffer. And I mean, if you think about it, even the Buddha left his palace and kingdom and all his riches to understand the root of suffering and to how to transcend. So we weren't meant to suffer. We were meant to enjoy life and all its fleeting moments and pleasures and all our relationships. But life can be that blossoming. So it's just about where we're feeding attention. And speaking of, Venus enters Aries on the 30th. So once you've clarified that vision, then once Venus enters Aries, then the energy shifts because Venus rules the Sun in Taurus. So, and uh, Venus is not comfortable in Aries. So this is not the easiest placement for Venus, but I mean, I have Venus in Aries in my natal chart. So it's a very fiery, passionate energy. And it's just that Aries is the masculine sign and Venus is the feminine principle. So when Venus is in Aries, it feels like a woman in a man's world where a woman, the natural aspects of femininity, where naturally women are meant to be a certain way in society or more receptive, and whereas Aries energy will move to action. So anyway, I don't want to get into why Venus is considered to be in a fall in Aries, but for now, with Venus in Aries, it's like we're becoming very aware of our desires. So expect things to get more passionate because now Venus is in Aries and Mars, the ruler of Aries, is in Leo, and both of these are fire signs. So when it comes to relationships, money, just life is picking up pace, and we may be dealing with some fiery emotions as well. Again, if there are painful emotions arising, we are in a whole new cycle. So Aries being the sign of, the first sign of the zodiac, it's learning to see life with the sorry, I'm not blanking. I'm trying to put this into words. Venus enters Aries and then it conjuncts Neptune. We're having to see life with new eyes and with the eyes of the heart and with the purity of the heart, as we were when we were children in some respect. And I'm talking about the future here, so this is an aspect that hasn't happened. But Mercury has made a conjunction to Neptune, and Venus is now the second planet to make a conjunction to Neptune in Aries, I mean. So, and Neptune is newly in Aries. So, this is very new energy for all of us, for the collective, as well as individually. Neptune, at best, again, is very mystical energy, musical, creative. It's a higher octave of Venus. It's very spiritual energy. So, this is really a great time to be meditating, to reconnect with yourself, with your heart, and to learn to self soothe, to understand that we're not alone. And maybe there can be experiences of that, of that real sense of unconditional love, of feeling protected by the whole universe and feeling at one with the whole universe. So, depending on how still and present we can be to ourselves, there really can be that experience of that. But if at all you're again experiencing any sense of pain or confusion, or because Neptune can bring projections and can be very nebulous. So if you're experiencing the shadow side of this energy, then it will also help to look back to any childhood trauma that needs to be healed, and make sure that you're being in no denial, whether, especially when it comes to any Venusian related matters of the heart, love, relationships, money. Clarity is important, authenticity is important, transparency is important. The whole world does not need to know your business, but it's at least important that you're being transparent with yourself and you're being honest with yourself, and because Aries rules the self. So this is about transparency with the self and being in no denial of what your intentions are and what's motivating you in a situation. Are you being motivated by fear? Are you being motivated by passion? Are you being motivated by desire? I mean, whatever it is, it's that real alignment and understanding of what's driving you in a situation. So you're not just blindly chasing something. And Aries really ultimately comes back to being. So it's about being present to ourselves right now and really listening to our hearts with this, because it's a very magical aspect. And of course, it could play out in infinite ways depending on how what's going on in your life. But I'll pause there for now. I'll keep going. On the 4th of May, we've got the moon is square. We're at the first quarter phase of the moon. So again, we're halfway between now the new moon and the full moon in Scorpio. The first quarter, now the moon is going to start waxing and growing even fuller as we move to the full moon. So the next week, the emotional tide is rising. And the quarter moon again is a checkpoint. It's time to check in with yourself, just realign with yourself, and make any adjustments if you've gone too far, of course, from what you intended at the new moon. So think at the new moon, we've planted some seeds. By the first quarter moon, some stuff has started to take seed, and then maybe you're seeing stuff that's not working. So we're kind of like you call out what's not working, and then you nurture what's working. And then on that 4th of May, which is the first quarter phase, it's going to be really intense because Pluto stations retrograde on the same day. So we're going to feel a level of intensity in the air and changes in the air very powerfully leading up to this, not just on the 4th, but definitely we're going to feel it as soon as the new moon starts. Yeah, changes in the air. And there's almost a sense of unveiling where the veil is dropping down, and it's also allowing us to reclaim power in situations. Then on the 5th, Mercury sextiles Jupiter, and this can be, a flurry of communication, big ideas, opportunities. The energy feels social. We're learning huge information and maybe being presented with huge choices. Be wise and be true to yourself. And there's no wrong choice. It's just a matter of making wise choices and just being, be honest with yourself. Don't, again, you've got to make choices that are true to you, and then you can find a way to negotiate with others in your life. Then on 6th of May, Venus sextiles Pluto. So this is, again, there's life is changing. There's deep changes afoot. There may be I mean, I'm trying to explain how this could play out without really knowing exactly your chart. But again, this comes back to this Mercury sextile Pluto, which is taking place today, right? So look at what's going on today for you. This is a continuation of what's happening. So on the 6th of May, let's say you're coming to some kind of deeper understanding today. On the 6th of May, you're going to see some progression of that, of this energy. But now with Pluto retrograde, we're seeing the deeper treasures, even perhaps, that are present in a situation. Once we've, moved past the initial um, darkness of Pluto, it's almost like, I'm not finding the exact, I'm trying to articulate what I'm seeing here. But it's like, uh, okay, I'm just going to move. The words will come to me. It's like a vision is forming and I'm not finding the right words yet. And of course, it would be so because Mercury is conjunct Chiron on the very same day. So it's almost like I'm channeling that energy to begin with. Mercury being the planet of communication, and Chiron can bring that sense of woundedness. And I mean, I will say this full disclosure: I have Mercury conjunct Chiron in my chart, and this is very perceptive energy. So maybe what's happening on the 6th, not maybe, but what's happening on the 6th, it's like we're coming to such a deep understanding of situations that we may not even have the words for it, right? But this is on happening on a very psychic heart level. But be in no denial of what you're learning, and maybe some of what you're learning may be bittersweet. And but Chiron, Mercury conjunct Chiron, the key is awareness. So just be really honest with yourself with whatever's coming through, and take time to really listen to the insights that are coming through. And Mercury conjunct Chiron can be very perceptive energy. So again, this is that thing of, the more we can let go of perceptions or conditioning and beliefs, we can see reality as it is. This could be, I mean, even meditation will be really powerful if you meditate on this day. Mercury conjunct Chiron. It's about, pay attention to your mental health on a very simple level. Mental health, again, if there are painful thoughts, ideas, beliefs, conversations, if you're learning something that feels hurtful, you know meditation really is the key. Because Chiron, I'm writing a book on Chiron, which has been in the works for a, probably 18 years. And another thing that I actually wanted to talk about, and I'll mention now, I guess, is the perfect time. Chiron is now at the end of Aries, and Chiron's going to enter Taurus in 2027. And this is an unprecedented astrological event. Chiron has never returned to Taurus. This is the first Chiron return we're having as since discovery. And Chiron was discovered in 1977. So our planet itself, and of course the human race, we're moving over a really powerful evolutionary threshold come 2027. And we're already in it right now. And I definitely should do another video about this. But Chiron really speaks to this process of alignment and Kundalini awakening on a very personal level. And it's about the alignment of the seven chakras. That's why Chiron's known as the rainbow bridge, because it's the seven chakras, and we have seven planets which align with the seven chakras in our body. This is why I'm saying astrology is not just, something we believe in. This is real. The universe is one. And now with Neptune moving through Aries over the next 13 years, we're going to understand more about the body's subtle systems and subtle energetic system. And of course, the Vedas have already, the sages have divined this ancient knowledge. You know, all ancient cultures have divined most of this knowledge that modern science is now catching up with. So, but we're over the next 13 years going to be understanding more about the subtle energetic systems of the body. and the subtle energetic layers and sheets of the body. So we're gonna, again, comes back to spiritual practice. We're gonna have to get out of our heads and our minds, because it's the mind that's causing chaos and pain and disturbance and sadness and all of the turmoil. We're really going to have to learn to silence our mind. Then, this astrology, then life really becomes effortless. So pay attention to what's coming up on the 6th. It can feel like a really powerful release where life can feel like a real blossoming. And pay attention to your intuition as well. I'm sorry if I went on that point for too long, because I still am not finding the words for this Mercury Chiron conjunction here. It's just that ultimately some things are unsayable and can only be experienced. So maybe one thing that could come up here is like, you know, it's not necessary for everyone to understand us. And maybe people never will. And maybe we'll never understand each other completely, because we all have our own perspective. But what we do share in common goes beyond words, and that's the language of love. So it's really teaching us to connect with our hearts. Then on the 7th and 8th, we've got ninth, we've got no major aspects taking place. Mercury enters Taurus on the 10th, which is Taurus now is, sun still in Taurus, very grounded sign. So communication, where in Aries, communication has been very direct. In Taurus, our energy is more focused, communication. It's not that it slows down, but it's more thoughtful and more probably slow incoming. And we're focused on more practical matters with Mercury and Taurus. And I'll get into that transit another time on a deeper level. But think of, again, I mean, I have Mercury and Taurus natally. Think the mental processes, like when we learn some information, where in Aries, the energy is blazing fast and quick. In Taurus, it takes us time to digest something and process something, like a cow chewing its cud and ruminating. So when we learn information while Mercury is in Taurus, if you need some time to digest information, then ask for it. Or, I mean, you don't have to ask for it, but what I mean is, if you're in dialogue with someone and if you've just learned some information and you need some time to process it, say that. So no one's left guessing, and vice versa. If you don't understand something, ask, but allow other people time to process the information that you're giving them as well. Because we're moving to the full moon in Scorpio on the 12th, and that's, things that were seeded at the time of the new moon will come to light, because the new moon is when the sun and moon are together. There's no light in the sky. So we're moving on intuition, and things are happening in the dark. Full moon is when that moon is now come, ouch, 180 and opposite the sun. So things that were seeded and being seeded in the dark at the time of the new moon are now coming to fullness with the Scorpio full moon. So there is, just think the emotional tide is rising. Scorpio is the sign that deals with change. There are powerful changes afoot. Relationships are deepening, evolving, growing. And where the new moon will bring new beginnings, the full moon will bring a sense of a release. So over the next 2 weeks, from the Scorpio new moon till the Gemini, from the Scorpio full moon till the Gemini new moon, we're going to be, as the moon wanes, again, we're going to be releasing an old cycle before renewal. So I'll talk about the Scorpio full moon separately in another video. But just think that by the time of the full moon, uh, there are powerful emotions coming to the surface. And Scorpio teaches us to let go of control, to allow for change. And with the sun in Taurus at the time, it's about staying grounded while situations change. and being patient while situations evolve. Because on the 12th as well, Mercury is square Pluto. And this is a continuation of this Sun square Pluto on the 23rd. So, and now Pluto is retrograde. So, this process and Sun square Pluto, sorry, yeah, 23rd. So, this process is moving forward. Pay attention to what comes up on the 23rd. There's a continuation of that around the 12th at the full moon, where if we were kind of turning a corner here, now we're seeing, making choices and moving further along that path where we're learning more information, allowing us to make progress. No major aspects between the 12th and the 17th, but then on the 17th, we've got the Sun conjunct Uranus, which is just expect the unexpected. With Sun conjunct Uranus will always bring unexpected developments and surprising developments. So whatever, if you can think it, then that's not it. It'll be something else. So don't even bother trying to figure out what it is. But that said, you know where Taurus is in your chart, or I'm going to run through the signs with you. But wherever Taurus is in your chart, that's where this energy is playing out. And this is the final Sun Taurus conjunction. And I just want to make sure that that's correct. But it's the final Sun Taurus conjunction, Sun Uranus conjunction in Taurus in our lifetimes. So that's May 17th. And then, yep, the next time the Sun conjuncts Uranus will be next year on the 22nd of May. And that'll be it in Gemini. So we're never going to have another Sun Taurus conjunction again in our lifetime. Sun Uranus conjunction in Taurus again in our lifetime. So this is a final breakthrough. Remain detached, but remain grounded, and trust that anything that, if anything is falling apart at this point, I don't think you'll care. But if anything falls apart, it's just like things that have already been on, nothing's going to fall apart that, you've been building and it's strong. If something falls apart, then you can trust that it was already shaky and it was coming down. So there's nothing to really worry about. If anything, Taurus liberates. It's the awakener. So it's a wake-up call. And we've been steadily being awoken since 2018, when Uranus entered Taurus. So this is that final breakthrough. So who knows how it's going to play out? Look at what's going on in your life and trust that whatever is happening is liberating you. And avoid trying to cling to anything or anyone, because Uranus energy can be electric, and the more we try to cling to things, the more shocked we can feel. And I can give you, again, not final, but another full disclaimer. I've had Uranus conjunct my Sun. My birthday's on the 16th. My Sun's at 25 Taurus. So Uranus has been conjunct my Sun all of last year. We had 2 transits last year, and then 1 exact conjunction just on the 18th, just 2 days ago. So Uranus is very much still conjunct my Sun. And if the biggest lesson I've learned is detachment from outcomes, certainly, but also really life has been teaching me to be on autopilot. It's like I'm learning the more I try to control things, it just kind of blows up in my face and teaches me that I'm not really in control. And the more I surrender and just autopilot, life just keeps happening. So if anything, I can offer you that, and I can tell you that it's a time of real genius, which is pushing us out of our box and comfort zone. But in that, there is freedom, whereas energy that's been stuck and stagnant in our life for too long is really giving way, drawing us into the future. And that's the 17th. And then on the 18th, Mercury squares Mars, which is continuation of the Sun square Mars, which is happening today. So with Mercury, any square aspect, this is Mercury square Mars, but any square aspect is a time to resolve the energy internally. So to bring and not project it out in externally. So what does that mean? Mercury being communication, Mars being the planet of action and even war and anger and passion, right? This is about acknowledging your, I mean, if you're angry about something, it could be easy to go out there and just give someone a piece of your mind. But what is that going to do in the long run? Nothing. I mean, it could be easy with a square aspect. That's when we project things outward. But the square is really telling us to move inward and ask yourself, okay, what are you angry about? What are you upset about? Understand where what is really upsetting you before you just react and say something in the heat of the moment that will ultimately defeat your own purpose. So Mercury square Mars is a chance to move inward and to be honest with yourself. Then you can find a way to communicate with someone else and say what needs to be said in a way that your messages gets across and is heard. Then on the same, because on the same day Jupiter is sextile Chiron, and Jupiter is the planet of wisdom, and Jupiter is in Gemini, which is the ruler of, I mean, Mercury rules Gemini. So it's about using our words wisely and realizing that we have a choice in how things unfold and play out. But there's a need for compassion and to communicate honestly, because otherwise, if we're irritated about something and if you're angry about something and you say something and this is just a hypothetical scenario, right? Like I'm upset about something and I, in the heat of the moment, say something to somebody else and that person then responds aggressively, and then we just get into it for nothing, as opposed to me really understanding what I'm upset about or what needs to change and then finding a way to communicate it so I actually can, open up that line of communication. Because Jupiter is about wisdom rather than just magnifying and blowing up something, or, in a way that really does nothing to further us towards our objective. And that's important because look, on the 20th, the sun sextiles Saturn. And now Saturn is also at the end of Pisces. Saturn's been in Pisces since 2023 March. Yeah, that was just the end of that whole COVID era of Saturn and Aquarius. So sun sextile Saturn, this is a maturing and blossoming and growth where we can really see how even being a little slow to respond and react and really get grounded before we, if something upsets us, before we just react, can make a world of a difference in how something shapes up and moves forward. It's understanding that it's like almost like the potter's wheel, right? Like we're shaping our lives with our consciousness, that sun. And then Saturn represents our goals, and then it's our level of maturity. So by the 20th, the sun's going to enter Gemini. There's really a sense, it's a chance to really reconnect with your goals and your final objective. And it's like a dream is within reach. And we're connecting with a dream, and we're connecting with something that we've long dreamed of and we've been long been working towards materializing. And there's a real sense of making contact with it and feeling that sense of progress. So by the 20th, and then the sun will enter Gemini. So once the sun enters Gemini, it's like we're being presented with choices. So 20th really feels like, we can see a dream is within reach. And now we've got some choices to make in terms of, okay, what am I going to do moving forward? So that's the aspects in Taurus season in a nutshell. Now, I was going to run through the 12 signs, but if you guys have any questions, have I made sense? I don't even know who's still here. Oh, there's 5 of you still here. Thank you. Thanks for being here. I hope this has been helpful. Okay, I'll just run through the 12 signs. And then, in the meanwhile, if you have any questions about anything I've said, please feel free to jump in. So, Aries, Taurus season takes place in yours. Taurus rules your second house. And this is the house that deals with your money, your finances, your income. It's your sense of self worth and self esteem, and also your closest commitments and bonds. So, this is where the focus is for you over Taurus season. Of course, apply everything that I've said to these areas of your life. But this is where you're going, if you can focus on this area of your life right now, the rest of the things will fall into place. At its core, it's about you understanding what your values are. And if you can stay true to your values through this season, then trust that everything else will level out slowly but surely. Then, Taurus, this is obviously birthday month. So, happy birthday, Taurus. And it's a whole new year, and you're at the end of a very powerful transformation since 2018. And okay, let me go jump back to Aries. Since 2018, I mean, financially, even in terms of your relationships, your values, your boundaries have been pushed, but hopefully you can see how much more there is to you and your true worth. So with Aries, there's really is a sense of understanding your true worth and what you truly value in life. And in many sense, you're being liberated from, you know, old values and things that just don't fit into your world anymore. And if anything, once Uranus enters Gemini, it's going to be a whole other phase of mind expansion. But that's Aries. I'll stop there for now. And then if there's any Aries here and you have questions, please ask me, because otherwise I'll just go on. Taurus, this is in your sign. And for Taurus, since 2018, you've been awakening to parts of yourself that you didn't even know existed. And really, it's been pushing you to let go of false selves and to dig deeper. And you've really come to understand your own potential. And this has brought a lot of wake up calls. But now it's like you're being liberated from your own stuck patterns and ways, being drawn into a whole new world. So remain grounded within yourself. And even your relationships are very powerfully coming to light this month. So be true to yourself, then trust everything else will kind of fall into place around you. Uh, Gemini, this transit takes place Taurus season. And another thing with Inner Journey Collective, and of course, this is just the first session and not a Zoom session, so I'm not going as deep as I would just because I don't have you guys to interact with and speak to. But the whole point is that every year when the sun enters Taurus, we're going to be circling back to these areas in our life, right? And of course, Aries rising, Taurus rising. Astrology is holographic, so it works on many levels. It's just, again, coming back to what I said at the beginning. It's about us learning to witness life rather than try to control life. And the more we can witness life, then we can see how life is kind of happening through us and around us. And then we can merge with the flow of life rather than feel like we're being smashed up against the rocks. So every year when the sun comes around to Taurus, again, depending on what your sign is, you're going to be learning wherever the sun is transiting, you're going to be learning the same, or rather, those areas of your life are going to be highlighted again. So it's a matter of, okay, after one whole year of the sun's transit, how far have I come? How have I evolved in my responses to life? How much do I understand life better? So, Gemini, Uranus has been in Taurus since 2018. And for Gemini, this has been a spiritual awakening on the deepest level. And with the sun moving through Taurus over the next season, the 12th house is also the part of your chart which deals with your subconscious and your dreams and your um, it's also the house of self undoing. So think of everything that happens behind closed doors and in the dark. It can be, if we're walking around in the dark, it could be easy to bump into things. So the more aware we are of our subconscious patterns, the easier it is to do things consciously. So for Gemini, you're really becoming aware of your subconscious patterns and have been since 2018. And now hopefully you're being liberated. Not hopefully, but I mean, you are being liberated, but hopefully you can really see that and experience that, where you're being liberated from a prison of your own making in some ways. So on a very physical, mundane level, it's a great time to get more rest, spend time in meditation, spend time in solitude, be out in nature. And for all of us, right now with Taurus season, get out in nature as much as you can. Nature heals us, right? So, especially for Gemini, inner work, time spent in nature and solitude, meditation will really help you get grounded and realign with yourself and perhaps even a spiritual truth, because and that's been awakening within you since 2018, because once Uranus enters Gemini next month, Gemini, this is a, if you haven't already got the message, it's a big wake up call. There are surprising developments taking place, and you're going to be entering a, life is drawing you into the future. So this is really a chance to get grounded in your spiritual practice and your relationship with the universe and existence and trusting in it. Cancer. Taurus rules your 11th house, which deals with your friendships, your community, your social circle, your hopes, dreams, and wishes, and also the fulfillment of your wishes. So for Cancer, there could very much be at least one dream coming true or one wish coming true through this Taurus season. But pay attention to where Uranus has also been pushing your boundaries since 2018 and drawing you out of your comfort zone, where a lot of this is for Cancer. Your friendships may have pushed your boundaries. People may have come and gone out of your life unexpectedly. And I mean, even social media, I don't know how this is playing out for you individually, but even how you relate with social media has probably changed through all of this time. In all of this, it's, you coming back home to yourself in a way of self-acceptance, where you don't need to try to fit in to any group or any circle, because you really can't right now. The more you can embrace your uniqueness, Cancer, and we're all unique in our own way, but I'm just saying for Cancer, that's where it's playing out in your social circle and your social groups. The more you can embrace yourself, you're going to draw into your world others who see your genius and your beauty and accept you for who you are, and that in itself can be very liberating. So it just begins with really self-acceptance. And even in terms of our wishes and materializing wishes, recognize that we can have everything we wish for. The universe is always saying yes, but do we even really know what's good for us half the time? We don't. We just, anything we want because we think it'll make us happy, but we don't know that for sure. And again, coming back to the whole point of, ultimately material things will make us happy only for so long, but they really are transient. So if we want lasting happiness, Cancer, you can have your wishes fulfilled, but then what? That ultimate happiness will have to come from within, and that's that full moon in Scorpio in your 5th house for you. Then I'm going to pause there, otherwise I could genuinely just keep going on. Leo, Taurus is your 10th house, and The sun transiting Taurus is highlighting 10th house matters, and the 10th house deals with your profession, your public image, your ambitions, your goals. It's also this part of the chart that deals with mothers and motherhood and your relationship with authority. So these themes are in focus very much so, and your work and career goals are in focus surely. And in some sense, you're breaking the glass ceiling, and you have been since 2018. And this is for Leo and Leo rising as well. So look at your rising sign as well. But you've been breaking the glass ceiling since about 2018. And this is really a chance to push your own, like you can go further than you have ever imagined. But you've got to dare to do that, which means, Mars is back in Leo now. So a lot of it is you having confidence in yourself, because what you're trying to do in this world has never been done before. So you're kind of carving a whole new path. And this will mean that you've got to have faith in yourself. Then you can lead by example. And I mean, Leos are born to be leaders in many ways. But the mark of a really good leader is, being able to lead by example. And for Leo, with Taurus on the 10th house cusp, you are a natural leader. But and part of that is also comes from your ability to be consistent and consistently who you are. Now Uranus has been pushing your boundaries and asking you to step out of your own comfort zone and pushing your own limits as well. So, professionally, certainly your boundaries are being pushed, but at the same time, this is so you realize how much greater your potential is. So definitely for Leo, your work and career and public image is in focus, but the full moon in Scorpio will also bring to light any insecurities and childhood stuff that you need to release so you can really manifest your full potential. And maybe I should have said this for Taurus. Taurus, this month, your relationships are coming to light as much as the focus is on you. Aries, there are big changes afoot as well. So let go of any power struggles around the time of the full moon. Gemini, pay attention to your health as well. And your daily routines might be changing, or then at least look at where you may need to change your daily routines so you can live a more balanced life and have the time you need to do the things that you love as well. But then now I'm going to jump to Virgo. Virgo, Taurus is your ninth house, so your spiritual path has been very much in focus since 2018. Whatever else is going on in your life, it's been a spiritual journey. And this is probably, I mean, there are new pathways that are opening up to you right now, and whatever's unfolding in your life, keep a higher perspective and look at the long term vision that you have for your life. There may be new roads and new pathways opening up for you that you could have never imagined possible now, and you're on a journey now which is undoubtedly taking you to the top. But it's just a matter of you having that vision and then having the faith to keep up on your journey and make choices that take you further along your chosen path. So it's about making those conscious choices and having a sense of perspective with whatever's unfolding. Because, for every door that closes, another door opens. So, Virgo, definitely widen your vision, is what I would say. Libra, Taurus is your eighth house. So, that is the house of, change, marriage. It's the house of shared resources, taxes. It's where our energy merges on the deepest level with others. So there are very powerful changes that are taking place in Libra's life, and marriage, divorce, relationships moving to a new threshold, maybe business relationships, maybe inheritances. Things like that are certainly in focus for Libra rising. Let go of any power struggles. And this is about, again, realigning with your values. You can't change anyone else. But, and if anything is falling apart right now, you don't need to, you can't cling on to anything, Libra. But you can trust that anything that's real and truly valuable, you're learning what's truly valuable and real and indestructible in your life. So be grateful for that. And if anything falls away, trust that you've outgrown it and it's, time to let it go. There's a resurrection underway now. So surrender really is the lesson with for Libra. And this is a chance to let go of like old stuck patterns, and especially any patterns around money and marriage and relationships and values that you've inherited from parents and generations. Even this is where we're breaking those generational patterns so we can really reclaim power to do things consciously for ourselves. Scorpio, with the sun and Uranus and all this action in Taurus. Scorpio, this is all about your relationships. Your relationships are taking center stage this month, but that doesn't mean you don't have. And then, of course, the full moon will be in Scorpio, which is your sign. So there's a need for balance between you and your relationships. You're beginning a whole new cycle, and you too, there may be, big shifts taking place in your relationships at the moment. I don't even know what to say because I have Scorpio rising and I have Taurus. I'm a Taurus myself, so it's really hard for me to read for myself sometimes. But I'm gonna try. I'm trying not to think about my own life right now, and I will say that, yeah, for Scorpio and Scorpio rising, your relationships have really been pushing your boundaries, and ultimately, relationships are a mirror to the self. So look at what is being reflected to you, and it will require that with Mars and Leo, sorry, Mars being the ruler of Scorpio, traditional ruler of Scorpio. It's really about Scorpio being very honest with with yourself, so you can build relationships that are sustainable. Because if you're not being authentic, then you're not going to be able to sustain your connections as they are. And what you need now is authentic connection, and trusting that those who love you will love you regardless. I mean, this Venus Saturn conjunction is taking place for Scorpio in their fifth house, which is this part of your chart that deals with your children and true love and your sexuality and your heart. So Scorpio is becoming very clear on what matters to them in their heart and what they love and who they love and why. And this is now going to be important for Scorpio to really just be very honest with yourself so you can show up authentically in your connections, and then trust that the relationships that are right for you will sustain and you'll find a way to grow together. Because in relationships, either you're going to grow together or grow apart. That's that first seventh house axis. So Scorpio, yeah, your relationships are definitely moving to a whole new level and big shifts coming up. So trust them and try not to cling. You can't control anybody else, Scorpio. You can barely control yourself. um, it's true for all of us, but certainly Scorpio rising, something we could do well to remember. Then Sagittarius, Taurus is your sixth house. So this is about your daily life, your daily routines, your health, and taking things a day at a time. And health on all levels, your mental, physical, emotional, spiritual health. And it's a good time to cultivate that spiritual practice and make it a part of your daily routine. With Taurus on the sixth house for Sagittarius, also look at, do you enjoy your life? Do you love your work? If not, there are big changes happening now. And this is really a chance for you to build a life and create a life that brings you the deepest sense of meaning on a daily basis, and that you feel a sense of reward by every day, not just one day in the future. So For Sagittarius, look at your health. It really is a chance to take stock of your life and look at what's working for you and what isn't, so you can enjoy your life more on a daily basis. And which means having time for rest and play as much as you work hard as well. And if you've been in any kind of a rut, Sagittarius, this is certainly going to break you out of your rut. This is a chance to really shake up your routine, and it is being shaken up, whether you like it or not. Your routines are being shaken up this month and have been steadily since 2018, but this is the final blast through. Then, and then starting next month, Uranus enters Gemini, and your relationships are certainly sparking off and on a whole different way and about to surprise you. Then Capricorn, for you, Capricorn, Taurus is your fifth house, and this is all about the fifth house deals with your sense of youth and your heart and your ability to stay present and in the present moment and to have fun and to enjoy the present moment. It's also the house that relates with your sexuality and true love and creativity and your children, your inner child. So these are the areas of your life that are in focus, certainly with the sun being in Taurus in the fifth house. I would say really nurture your inner child. Capricorns work too hard. And since 2018, hopefully life has been teaching you, I mean, your creativity knows no bounds for sure. And this could be an extremely creative month. But it's also a time when, you know, love and romance is very much highlighted, and it's a chance for you to reconnect with your inner child and have more fun and just stay in the present moment. And even if you tell me, Priya, I mean, if you're dating someone or in a relationship, you could be falling in love all over again. And if you're single, and it could happen at the most unexpected time. So, I mean, that's when they say love happens anyways, when you're least expecting it. So just, it's about your heart, keeping your heart open, and then also knowing yourself well enough. So you're not, looking for someone else to necessarily fall in love with. This is about you falling in love with life and then trusting that you're going to attract that energy back to you from the world around you. And it's, again, creative energy, Capricorn. But creativity doesn't have to mean only in terms of painting something or drawing something or being creative in that sense. It's in terms of creating your whole life. So whatever the past has been like, now you're creating a whole new life. And life is, once Uranus enters Gemini, your routines are going to be shaken up. So this is a chance for you to really align with what you love and what really brings you a sense of happiness and joy, and stay connected with that. Then trust everything else can blossom. And the more you can follow your bliss, your next steps will be revealed to you. Aquarius, Taurus is your fourth house, and this deals with your family, your home, your childhood, your inner sense of your innermost sense of security, and your family and your roots and the ground you stand on and where you live. It's your innermost sense of self, even the fourth house, really. So pay attention. These are the areas that are being highlighted. It's a great time to declutter your house, reconnect with your family. Let really confront the past on a deeper level and get real with yourself. If there are any childhoods, you know, if there's childhood stuff that's coming up, insecurities that are coming up, it's a chance to really look at them and to leave them behind in the past and to heal from your childhood so you can deepen your roots. And because that full moon in Scorpio is going to be in your 10th house, it's also time for you to really understand how safe you are in the present, where a domestic situation may have been pushing your boundaries with Uranus in the fourth house. But hopefully you can see, Aquarius, what really matters to you at the bottom of it all, and what's superficial and what now needs to be dusted and cleared out, so you can have space for nurturing what, and deepening your roots really, because then you can really shine out in the world. And hopefully you're regaining a sense of security where, when you're in a centered Taurus, that may have pushed your boundaries and that probably shook the foundations of your life. But now, as Uranus is at the end of this Taurus transit and with this final sun moving through Taurus, it's like your family structure, your family life, your inner world has been slowly shifting and changing. And now it's time to get really grounded in what matters and let go of the superficial stuff that you don't need anymore and you've outgrown, in a sense, whether that's emotional patterns or just physical stuff. Uh, then finally, Pisces, Taurus rules your third house, which is communication and the mind and your siblings and your neighborhood, as well as transportation. So these are some of the themes that are being highlighted. Uh, Fantasy League betting. I don't know what your uh, Anirban. I'll definitely answer. I'll get your question in a minute, and I'll try to answer your question in a minute. I'll finish with Pisces first. So with Pisces, this is your third house, and hopefully, since Uranus entered Taurus in 2018, you've been waking up to the power of your mind to create your reality, and the power of your choices, and the power of your words to create your reality. And if you haven't, then it's time to wake up now, because it's Pisces is the most, it's the 12th sign of the zodiac, and it's the most mystical, magical sign. And as a Pisces or Pisces rising, you're a very magical person. I mean, we all have Pisces somewhere in our chart, but now, if you are a Pisces rising, this is especially true. So, and part of your power, especially with the sun moving through Taurus, it's like your mind, you're able to envision reality in a way that other people can't yet see it, but you can see it as if it's real. That's why Pisces can, sometimes be living in their own la la land and dream world, but their dream world in their mind is as real to them as, the real world is to the rest of us. And that comes from this Taurus being on the third house cusp for Pisces. So with Pisces, if you're enjoying your life, by all means right now, that's great. Keep going. But certainly the emphasis is on communication, and look at where, if you have any stuck ideas or beliefs or anything that's, you're feeling like you can't move past a certain limit with this Venus Saturn conjunction. The Saturn is in Pisces, so Pisces has definitely been learning some really important lessons here in terms of how to channel their energy, and it's time for Pisces to grow up. So if you've been learning heavier lessons or more difficult lessons, then it's time to really be honest with yourself, Pisces, about, what reality you need to accept, because only when you accept reality can you find the power to change it. So for Pisces, lessons are being no denial and being really honest with yourself. Then you can see how you can, you are creating your reality with your mind, and it's a matter of shifting your focus and consciousness with self-awareness of what you're creating. So, I mean, random example, if you keep saying, oh, I can't do this, then you can't do it. And maybe that's too vague an example, but it's those deep rooted beliefs that keep you stuck where you are, that you're now uprooting, so you can really open up to your true power to create your reality with your mind. So that's the 12 signs in a nutshell. And of course, listen to your sign and rising sign if you haven't. But to answer for Fantasy League betting, quick schemes, focus on what you really love and have a goal and build on something slowly but surely. You will have financial, Saturn in the second house will bring financial stability. It's just a matter of doing it slowly and not get there won't be any get rich quick schemes. But Anirban, this new moon in Taurus conjunct Saturn can help you set up a financial goal and then you can work towards it. Helen, Sag ascendant Uranus square your Leo sun and opposite Neptune. So Uranus is opposite your Neptune, square your sun. So you're also having to wake up from a lot of illusions, right? And having to be very centered with yourself. So that means Pluto is going to go opposite your sun soon. You're also going to have to let go of a lot of power struggles and let go of other people's attachment to other people and needing validation from other people and really just more self awareness. Because with Leo, that can be the shadow, right? It's harder for Leo to see their own shadow. So letting go of the need for other people to validate you and then instead looking at what you're putting out into the world. If you put out love, some people will, that's what you will get back. And even if you don't, it won't matter. It won't matter to you. Um, yeah. So, okay, what else? What else? I know there's a lag with the questions. So sorry guys if you guys are asking me things and I don't answer them. But it is almost 3:15, so I think I'm going to stop here astrologically for now, but I do want to say if you're watching this, if you haven't already subscribed, do subscribe here and sign up at Cosmic Diaries for my newsletter, or actually sign up at Substack, cosmicdiaries.substack.com, where I've been posting as well. But I hope you subscribe to the Inner Journey Collective moving forward, because I know this was just the beginning and a first test. But the next time I'm planning to do this on Zoom, I will still do YouTube videos, and I'll probably do more live videos as well that are free and public and that everyone can attend. So I want to make this work as accessible as possible to everybody, but I also want the subscription services so that, if we're in a Zoom session, then it's more private and I can speak more freely, and I can really look at your chart, and that way you don't have to pay for a whole consultation. You can come in and ask questions, and we can work together month by month, and over time I'll get to know your chart, I'll get to know you. It'll be easier for me to, you know, work with you as well. And you can ask me any questions as well and bring up anything else that's coming up for you. But so I hope all of you guys are subscribed, and thank you so very much for being here. And I hope I answered your questions at least a little bit. And thank you again. I don't know where to stop, but I'll say thank you again. Thanks for subscribing. I'll be back next time, but I hope you guys, okay, I'm not bad. Let me take that back. I hope you guys sign up for Inner Journey Collective. I'll leave details below because I would love to work with you guys on a more intimate basis. And I'm hoping that the Zoom sessions and the platform will allow us to do that. So stay signed up for my list and newsletter, and I'll be back with more free live videos as well. So do join me again. And thank you. All the best for Taurus season, and sending lots of love. I'm gonna end this for now. Bye for now. Unless anyone has any last questions. But Messi, Nadine, talk to you soon. Brianne, thank you for being here. Helen, thank you. And Anirban, thank you. Bye for now.